How's it going, y'all? Josh here from Vanilla Moose Coffee, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to recalibrate your grinder, specifically the Mahlkonig E65S GBW, which stands for grind by weight. This method also works for the non-GBW one, so the one where you just press it and on a timer it goes. So we've had some issues with ours, and we have, whenever you put the portafilter in, whenever the beans come out, they're like as coarse as you can get, which is not good from an espresso grinder. So we're gonna have to go into the deep gears and recalibrate it. So I figured I'd use this opportunity to make a video on it so I can show you the full comprehensive step of taking this apart, properly doing maintenance on it, and getting it back to the way it should. Okay, so there's a few things you need to do before taking all the components off and getting to the gears. And the first thing is you need to empty out the hopper. Now, if you have a bunch of beans up here, don't worry, you don't need to get rid of all of them or scoop them out or whatever. Definitely do not pick up your grinder and flip it upside down. That is a big no-no, never do that. So what you're gonna do instead is take this silver tab right here and close it, push it in so it blocks out any new beans from entering the burrs. Now after you do that, there's still gonna be some beans underneath that, probably about 2 or 3 hoppers full, 2 or 3 portafilters full. So you're just going to put your portafilter under here. Oh, that is awful. Just put your portafilter under here, purge out any of the beans, and then we'll get back to doing it. Okay, you'll know it's done when you hear the burrs grinding, but nothing's coming out. That's when you're ready to move on to the next step. So next, and most importantly, we want to make sure our machine is off. So we'll turn that off by the little on-off switch back here in the lower back side of it. And then we also want to make sure this little bar on top is set to 0, because if it's set to like 3.5 or some random number, it may not get properly aligned when you put it back on. So you want to make sure it's unlocked back here in the back and set it to 0 and relock it. And then after that's at 0 and the machine's off, we're ready to move on to the next step. Now what we're going to need for the next step is a flathead screwdriver, because in the back of the machine, but you got this logo right here and then a little insert right here where you can see a flathead screw. Now you're going to want to unscrew that, but don't take it out, just unscrew it enough. That's the screw that locks the hopper in place. So we're going to just loosen it up a little bit, but don't take it out all the way. And then once you do that, you can take this hopper, firmly grab it and twist. I may not have, oh, there we go. Twist it counterclockwise. I was doing it the wrong way. And then take it off. And we're just gonna set it aside. Now after the hopper's off, you can see in here, and you can actually see the lower burr. Let me get a video of it. And you're also gonna see 2 other flathead screws, one right here and one right here. Now there's actually 2 washers underneath that and a little rubber ring. So we are going to take this rubber ring and these 2 screws and washers out, and I would recommend getting like a cup or something. We just use like a little coffee cup and setting it off to the side, just so you don't lose them. That would not be ideal, obviously. So we're going to take out these screws. And what this is doing, this is unlocking the little plate that goes on top, the one with the numbers and the logo. Okay, grab the screw and the washer, and then you'll be able to unlock it. So unlocking it, you actually don't twist the outside, contrary to what you would think. You grab the inside, these little pegs right here I would grab, and you can see where this little circle is at the lock icon. We want it to be at the unlock icon. So twist it. Okay, there we go. I had this screw too far out and it was blocking it, but you should be able to just loosely shift it to where it says unlock, and you can actually pull this whole top piece off, and we'll set it aside. Now, let's say you don't need to recalibrate yours, it's just clogged. There's this little guard in here. It's these pieces up here on the front side. It's a little metal and a little rubber. If it's clogged, it should be kind of jammed. Yeah, it was a little clogged. But these will be dirty, especially the silicone one. Just wipe it off with a wet paper towel and then set it to the side. Okay, so these screws right here, these flathead slash like hex star looking screws, I don't need to take these off. That is actually locking in the top burr in place. But if you need to take off the top burr and clean it, all you have to do is unscrew these a little bit, shift it, and you can clean the plate. Or if you need to get to the bottom plate for some reason, but we don't need to do that. We need to get to the gears to recalibrate it. So we're gonna grab this tab right here, pull it, and then you can just take this whole piece off. Now it will look like this, where it's kind of smooth, but where we need to be, this little gear right here controls the thickness of the beans. So what we're gonna do now is find what's called the 0 point of the grinder. That is the smallest the grinds can be, and ideally what we want the grinder to be at when it says 0 on that little meter. And the way we do that is we can turn this black gear. You can see a little indicator where it's bigger and smaller. So if you rotate it that way, it gets smaller. Rotate it the other way, it gets bigger. Okay, so you can do this one of two ways. If the gear right here is really jammed, you can use your screwdriver to twist it like so. And while you're doing this, use your finger over here to spin this lower gear. It should spin pretty freely, especially if your grinds are coming out really big. Or you can use the screwdriver to spin and then your hand to twist. Either is fine. You just need to twist the gear and the lower gear at the same time. And what you're looking for, let me just do both with my hands. Well, let me do this with the gear. And what you're looking for, you're going to spin this black gear towards you so it's smaller. And as you're doing that, spin the gear in here until you feel some resistance, and that is that gear touching the top, I keep saying gear, that is the lower burr touching the top burr, and that is your 0 point. So keep going until you either hear them scrape against each other or you can feel some resistance. So let me just keep going until I do that. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I hit it and I can hear the burrs scraping against each other. So what I'm going to do, I don't want them scraping against each other when I do the final product. So I'm going to shift the gear 1 notch at a time. I can still hear them scrape. So 1 notch again. And that's perfect. Okay. So it's spinning freely and they're not touching, but if I move it 1 notch, they will touch. So that is the 0 point and you're ready to go. So after that, all you have to do is reassemble, and it's as easy as that. So the first thing we're gonna grab is this plate, the one with the lever on it. So there's a little white notch right here, and that's the notch that determines where the number rests. So you wanna make sure where this lever is, these little teeth, the middle one should line up with that white bar. And it is. And all you have to do is hit this, and so it presses into place, push it down, and that one's good to go. So next we're going to grab our little tabs, the metal one and the silicone one. The metal one goes towards the front, towards you if the device is facing towards you. Make sure you scraped off any excess grounds. Like jiggle it around in there a little bit just to break up any loose grounds that were left. Make sure there's none on here. There's not, good, so we'll stick it in here. Again, the metal one facing towards you if you're facing the front of the machine. Next will be the top plate, the one with the logo and the numbers on it. So you want to make sure the 0 lines up with the tab, like so. And we are going to rotate it so it has the lock icon. And now it still feels a little like wiggly. That's because we're going to put the screws in here. Before we do that, don't forget the silicone ring. Put that right in here. That goes beneath the hopper. If you forget this, you're going to have to take it apart again because the hopper will be jiggly. Alright, so we got our 2 like banana shaped washers that will go in that hole that's shaped just like them. And then our 2 screws. We're going to screw these back in. All right, make sure these are nice and tight, but not too tight where the screw is strained. There shouldn't be any jiggling, which there's not. Now we're going to grab our hopper and rotate it clockwise until it locks. You'll know it's in place if when you turn on the on button, the screen turns on. And we'll do a little test to make sure that the beans are around the right size. Of course, after you do something like this, you need to redial it in. That's a different video. This just helps you get to the 0 point. So this should be extremely fine. Let's test it out. Yep, it is fine. And I actually forgot I took this piece out, this little nozzle to clean it. But yeah, let me put this back in. Beautiful. So this will be extremely fine, almost too fine. You won't even be able to use it just because it's the 0 point. But for dialing it in, I would just go to 4, see how that does. Too big, go to 2, too small, go to 6, and go from there. So I hope this helped. I'll have to make sure when I go in and edit this, you can see all the angles. But that is how to recalibrate these machines. Again, this works for the GBW and the non-GBW. It's a really great machine. I like how intuitive it is to do this kind of stuff, and it makes it super simple. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.